Hello and welcome to Take on those Chefs. Now I'm looking back at my talk with Alex Schnee. I had her on my Instagram live in 2020 and we spoke about food, travel, and she also cooked for me.
Alex is a full-time travel blogger from New York, and during the cooking we discussed some of our favourite cuisines on the road.
Now this is part one of our talk, so sit back and enjoy.
Hi Alex, you okay?
Yeah, all good.
How have you been?
Good, yeah, not too bad. It's been just fine. Been cooking a lot, obviously. So.
Now, Alex, tell us what you're going to cook today.
I'm making ratatouille, which was one of the first dishes I kind of learned by myself.
Okay.
And what I did beforehand, I just want to mention this, is I went ahead and cooked the eggplants, which is the main part of the dish. And what I did is I turned the oven up to around 300 degrees Fahrenheit and added some olive oil to it and just let and sliced it and let the eggplant just kind of cook and simmer. And now it's all kind of like soggy and delicious. But that's what we're going to be adding kind of first. But I just wanted to say that I did that first and so, because that is the most time consuming part.
Of course, right. Just for the British viewers, eggplant is aubergine, so just so there's no confusion.
That's true. And here we call it zucchini.
And that will be courgettes for us.
It's so funny that, it's just funny how it's... Why is it zucchini here? Why? Also, eggplant is the silliest name ever. I don't know.
I don't know. There's no eggs in it, and I don't know. It's like, I guess it's a plant, isn't it? But the reason why I wanted to bring you on and do a bit of cooking, because when I travel, food is something I love, and it's something that I'm assuming, love as well from some of your posts and talks and stuff. So, favorite types of food that you said ratatouille is something that you first cooked, and you lived in Italy for quite a long time, so.
I love the food in Italy. Italy is kind of my first place where I really loved and really learned to appreciate food. So that's definitely, I would say, my first go-to. But I also love Vietnam, the food in Vietnam, which is amazing. Pretty much I'll taste anything or try anything. But I would say Italy and France, they were kind of the first regions where I was like, oh, I really like this cooking thing. I like this food thing. So
you mentioned Vietnamese food. I think we might have spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it's really, really. It's different from each region, isn't it? As well.
And then you have the French influence as well. So it is.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it is kind of a unique place. In terms of just the combinations of flavors. And
you've done the eggplant, as you said. So I'm assuming this is the zucchini that you're cutting up?
Yes, it is. And I have 2 zucchini here. And like we said before, I will be giving you the recipe after this. So make it.
Yes.
It's easy.
For those that don't know what ratatouille is, just explain to people what it is.
Sure. It's kind of like a vegetable stew. It's got like a whole bunch of different squashes and things like that, and it's really just kind of baked down. So you have all these different vegetables. You let it sit over low heat, and it simmers down to just like this peasant dish. That's just and you can add it, I think, with some beef and stuff. But personally, I like just the veggie version. I think it's just as good, if not better, just to have those flavors. So
you've done the aubergines first, and how long does that usually take to cook?
20 minutes.
20 minutes, right? Okay.
In the oven. So, and then I just put some olive oil over the top of it so that sinks down into it and cooks inside. And then what I'm going to do too is I'm going to cut it up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put it in the pot along with the courgettes and some onions and garlic and some spices. So
brilliant.
Yes. And
another reason why I wanted to bring you on, because I've seen some of your videos on YouTube where you cook, and you do love. I I looked at it and thought, wow, she definitely knows how.
Yeah, I really like that, and I've been to so many different countries now too.
Yeah.
That it's been fun to learn a whole bunch of different types of cuisine instead of just one or two.
A lot of people will constantly think about their next meal constantly. So I am one of those people. But one of the things, as I said to you, when I travel, is trying out the different dishes, especially if it's a new country a country that I've not been to. Crickets and tarantulas, and I can't remember what else I had. There was like snails, and there was cockroaches and stuff. This was in Cambodia. So, question to you would be: is there what's the most exotic or most?
Ooh, you know what? I think it was tarantula, actually.
Oh, was it tarantula?
Speaking of, yeah, again, like, I'm kind of down to try anything. So we had tarantula, we had a bunch of crocodile, I tried snake.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
But yeah, I'm kind of down to try whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not a huge fan of spiders. So for me to eat a tarantula was kind of like, all right, you're really testing your limits here. So.
I tried the spider. Spider's, I should say, the tarantula's leg. It was quite hairy, I can tell you that. So,
Yeah.
it was one of the most. But crickets, absolutely loved it. What do you call it? You call it crickets as well, don't you?
I don't think I've ever tried crickets.
So the only, I guess, the sensation that you get is trying like shrimps, but with the heads on.
Oh, I like that.
So, yeah. So if you go to Cambodia again, they serve it when they bring out drinks. It's like their version of peanuts. So, it's quite nice, but it's quite addictive. Actually, it's not. I was surprised how good it was. So.
Definitely. How long were you? Yeah.
I think it was about 10 days.
Oh, wow.
But it was the most amazing 10 days I had, actually. Well, Cambodia, I always say, is my place where it really changed the way I viewed things in life. It really, I might have told you when like the stress and stuff, and all of a sudden the stress disappeared, and it was like, what's going on here? I'm not. Cambodia was a big part to it, you see. So I think sometimes you need a place, or it doesn't have to be, on your travels. It could be anywhere, really. But there's somewhere that really sort of is an eye opener, and Cambodia was definitely one of mine. Especially like the food, the people as well. Did you find the people? I'm assuming you've been, right?
Yes.
Did you find the people so amazing? Because
so warm.
They were.
Yeah, I just really felt like they were super kind. Even when you were a tourist, you know what I mean. We had some really wonderful guides. We met some local people that were just really special. They were just very warm.
Their food. I mean, it's what was it? What's their main dish? I think it's Kemar, is it? Is it the
that's gonna bother me.
Yeah, it's like KHMOR. I think it's like the Kemar dish or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's quite creamy. There's a twist to it and stuff, but it's really, really good. I remember the best one I had was when we went to someone's house and they invited us over to their house. It was the best. I mean, you couldn't get it any better than anywhere else. House food. That's another thing, actually, because you're obviously cooking for us today. Do you find that you've been to people's house to eat?
Yes. One of my favorite experiences is I was messaged. I was part of when I lived in Italy. I was part of this expat group online.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had a local woman who messaged me, and she only spoke Italian.
Okay.
My Italian I was still learning. Or at least practicing. And she asked me, and she said, would you like to come to my house? Because I know you live by yourself, and make some homemade pasta. And, of course, I jumped at the opportunity. I'm like, homemade pasta, I want to learn that so badly. And it was amazing, but it was challenging because, she was asking me questions about my life and my family and and what my favorite foods were. So it really was like a test in my Italian on top of a test in my cooking. So that was good. It was a good challenge for me to like think in a different way and think about food in a different way while I was cooking. So, and I still use her sauce recipe.
China was a place where they do fresh noodles and stuff. Xi'an was like my favorite place.
So good. The food.
I mean, it was like, I can't remember how much it cost in dollars. It was something like $1.10 or something. But it was outrageously good. Oh yeah, absolutely. It was just incredible food, and I kept going back and back and back because I just couldn't get enough of it, and for so cheap as well.
That was the craziest part to me. I'm like, this is so delicious, and why does it cost so little?
I know. Well, it goes to show you how, like in America or here, how much would they overcharge us in terms of.
It's true. It's absolutely true how much, and just the smallest things too. You're like, wow, that's expensive compared to, where you would get it in mostly Asian countries, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you said you've done the eggplant, so what's going in first?
I went ahead and I chopped up everything. And what I'm going to do first is in my pot over there, and I'll bring everyone over.
Yeah.
I'm going to just put some olive oil in the bottom, and then I'm going to put the eggplant in so it can simmer for a while. And then I'm going to add the courgettes to the pot as well, and then let it cook down. And I'm also going to add some onion and garlic all at the same time so they can all cook together.
And that takes about how long would you say?
It doesn't take long. I would say total with these ingredients, it probably takes about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then by the time we add the tomatoes and the peppers, then it's probably only going to be 5 or 6 minutes more. So
brilliant.
Yeah, I think we should be right on time. I tried to plan it out. So.
Daniel is your husband, and he's actually one of the studio audience today. He's going to try the food, isn't he, when he comes on?
And in tasting, he was like, "Oh, you're making ratatouille, cool!" Like, oh.
When you've travelled together, where's been your favourite place together that you've gone to?
Oh, that's so hard because he and I like a lot of the same places. The funny thing about, we like the same things when we travel. We love going to museums, and food is like the main thing. We're always picking out the best food, and he's such a foodie, so he'll be looking up online, where do we need to go? And I'm like, oh, we'll just stop at this hole in the wall. And he's like, no, to the place that everyone says is great. And so I always leave that up to him. But we both love Vietnam, Italy, love Italian food. We love South Korea. South Korea, amazing food. So yeah, we went to town there. I think I gained like 5 pounds just while we were there. This is great. I love it. So
no, I guess people watching, tuning in, obviously thinking, oh, why is there a bit of a cookie? But just to explain, one of the biggest things for us going away anywhere is trying out the different food. And unfortunately, one of my favourite chefs, Anthony Bourdain, passed away a couple of years ago. And I used to love watching his show. And I actually went to the restaurant recently in Vietnam. I don't know whether you went to it in Hanoi.
Yes, and it was so funny because it's blown up since then too.
Oh, absolutely. Well, when I went recently, so when I went in, there's a queue. Well, you have to get in line because it's that busy. Because it's obviously become so popularized because of the show, and they've got the Obama special now. So you can order the Obama what he had on the night. And then when you walk in, there's a picture of Anthony Bourdain and Obama, and there's another one over that side, and then you can sit exactly where he sat. But a lot of people want to sit on the same sort of side. Oh yeah. So they've really sort of gone to town. That is literally why people go now. But
good? Like, is it delicious or?
The food's good. It's wasn't as good as some of the other places I had because there was a street place I found in Hanoi, and it was like out of this world.
Oh, yeah.
But that was like on a really corner, side street, as we'd say. But this was like on the main road, you see. So it was You were going in. I mean, it was cheap. I mean, we're talking 100 dongs or something. So it wasn't much at all. So,
but you're right. Like, I think when places become more popular, sometimes they kind of feel like they can get away with something. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just putting this on low heat right now.
Mm-hmm.
And let that just kind of simmer down, and then we'll go ahead and add the zucchini.
Brilliant. YouTube is a great place these days to learn a bit of cooking tips, because gone are those days where you had to maybe get a cookery book or I don't know, watch television shows with a cooking show. You no longer have to these days. It's you can just literally go on YouTube, and there's so many people that cook up a meal, and you're like, actually, this looks great.
Yeah.
So
true too, because I remember when I was first learning to cook as well. You know, again, YouTube wasn't a big thing, so
yeah.
A lot of it was trial and error. You know, you're throwing stuff in, and you're like, oh, I hope this is okay. I hope it's it tastes all right, and sometimes it wasn't. It wasn't good, but yeah, YouTube kind of takes the guesswork out of that, which is kind of nice.
Vlogging is going to be the main thing, and blogging is going to be something that people won't do in the maybe next 10 years. What do you think of that? Because obviously you're a blogger yourself.
I totally agree. I just think we're a very visual society nowadays.
Yeah.
Even the fact that we have this as a channel is amazing. This is
exactly.
And even Instagram a few years ago was you post some pictures of your cat and call it good. You're like, hey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so now it's a very different way of looking at things, and I do think it's just going to become more and more visual. I love blogging because I'm a writer, and that's something I've always loved and cared about, but I also love video too, and I think it can be a really powerful way to reach people. I just think we're kind of headed more in that direction too. So if anyone is interested in getting into that creative space, I think if they want to start out with a blog, that's a good thing, but then you're going to probably have to transition to something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My major was in the arts. I mean, I graduated back in 11 years ago, and I started 15 years ago in the editing suite. So I've been doing it for like last 15 years, and I always my friends always used to say, you haven't got a camera on you today, do you? Because I used to just snap away or take videos of people. But I was trying to do all that sort of stuff that many years ago, but it wasn't really, I didn't really have a platform to sort of show my work. But now, as you said, YouTube, Instagram, all these places, it's just brilliant. Well, someone like myself, because I'm really visual, and I was never really a writer. Now I think this is going to potentially, hopefully, as I said to you, in the next 5-10 years, this is it. You see, people will be able to watch it on like the, I don't know, pen drive or whatever. Oh, let's watch Alex on the Mac for today and stuff. So,
and I think, again, it's becoming more mobile too. It's on your, in a way where it wasn't before. I think, Google, I'm a big nerd in SEO. I love all that stupid data stuff, but it's really interesting because they switched entirely to mobile first now.
Yeah.
So if you're a blogger, you need to make sure that your website is totally geared toward mobile. Otherwise, you're not going to rank as highly in search engines anymore. So it's just like a totally different way of looking at what it's like to be online and how you're going to be online as a creative or a traveler, really.
Absolutely. And the other thing as well, if people are looking to do vlogs, I think talking in front of a camera is not easy. I would never have thought, even 5 years ago, talking to people live, it just wasn't something that ever even entertained my mind.
Also, as well as having recorded videos and things like that. Yes. But it took me a while to kind of get used to the idea of putting myself out there, especially since I am more introverted. Which I never, again, like you said, I never would have thought I would be making videos nowadays. But it's also something I really enjoyed when I was a kid. I had like a little flip camera that and I always like being the director, right? And like being in front of the camera. But because of that switch now from blogging to vlogging and taking pictures for your blog or your personal account to making it professional and making them visible.
Mm-hmm.
It has totally changed kind of like my outlook on how I'm going to approach these things. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a new skill. It's like learning a new language almost, and being like, okay, I'm practicing, I'm trying, I'm doing all this. So
absolutely.
Okay.
So that was, I'm assuming that was a bit of spice, was it? What sort of?
I added some herbes de Provence, and some oregano.
Oh, brilliant!
As well, and then I'm also add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Not a lot of. Not overwhelm it, but and that should be good. I think maybe even a little bit more olive oil, and then I'm going to go ahead and stir.
More and more people are doing these sort of stuff, so why not cook live? It's a great way of interacting with your audience, and cooking live is great.
It is, and it's really fun. I just really enjoy it in general. So to kind of put myself out there and do it is, again, a little intimidating, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? I'm doing this anyway. I might as well, I get to interact with people. And
when you've been to a lot of these countries, I know you said you've done home eating and eating at people's house. Have you cooked when you've gone, like lots of classes and stuff?
Yes, we've taken a few classes, mostly in Asia. In Thailand, we took a cooking class. I think we took a cooking class in Vietnam as well. But that's another something I would love to get more into when we travel is taking cooking classes and things like that, because I try the food and then I try it when I come back and it doesn't always taste right, so I have to play with it until I get it right. But we'll get there eventually. But probably would save myself a lot of time just by taking a cooking class.
I did a cooking class in Morocco, and I know you've been to Morocco.
Yes.
And I did a tagine there, which actually tasted pretty good. I was surprised how good it was.
Surprised. I'm not sure.
But then, I just want to ask you about Morocco, because obviously you did you find their food, because it was only one type of food really, it was tagine and couscous. There wasn't much of a variety, and I was quite disappointed because I was looking forward to the food in Morocco, and then all we got was every day was it's tagine, couscous, salad at the beginning, and that's it really. And he's like, is there nothing else? And you're like, well, this is our national dish, sort of stuff. But
I was so surprised by that as well, and that's something I love Morocco and I love tagine, but I was there total about a month. So after I was kind of like, oh man, I don't know if I could eat another tagine. Like, I really like it, but not this one.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and I know I'm spoiled too living here in New York, because we can be like, I want Greek food tonight, or we have so many choices. So it all comes down to just, I don't know, getting used to eating one type of dish and being used to it. But there are a few places like that I think I've been to where like they have one dish and that's it. And you kind of have to get used to it. So
Middle East, for example, generally is one of my favorite places to go. The food I thought in Jordan,
so good.
Oh, it was so good, and the street food as well, the hummus and they give you so much bread. It's like, how can you eat 5 bread, by yourself?
Well, and then as soon as you're done with it, they add more to your bread basket. So I guess I have to eat this, and then it just is. It's a perpetual cycle of eating this bread. One thing I love about Middle Eastern women is they're just like beautiful, like voluptuous. It's just a totally different way of looking at it compared to being an American and being like, you have to be so thin in order to be attractive, and that is not how it is there.
Exactly, yeah, absolutely.
So I love that. I think that's great that, and sweets. I think Middle Eastern places, their sweets. So good.
Well, some of I had, what do they call it? Is it in Turkey where they've got, is it the, what's it called? It starts with a B. Is it the?
Is it like that sort of?
But it'll come to. Is it? What's it called? I can't remember, but it's so sweet. If you had maybe 3 or 4 of those, I reckon you can get diabetes quite easily.
And your teeth just hurt.
Morocco was another place where they had way too much sugar in their diet, and I remember a lot of the guys and a lot of the women, their teeth were rotten by it as well. It's because they had too much sugar.
It's true. And in their tea too. Remember, where it just like
yes,
so much sugar to their tea, and it's so sweet. Like if you drank too much, you would just get sick. It was
exactly.
Yeah. I think the tea customs in Morocco are just fascinating, and the tradition of the bubbles and the coffee.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, I remember the teas in Morocco. In the end, I said to them, I just don't want to have it with any sugar. So they had to make one without, because because I don't really drink too much caffeine anyway, in fact, I don't drink caffeine at all. So when they were giving me, I couldn't sleep all night, and it was just, I just said, you know what? I think the sugars also having an impact on my sleep. So can you? And also, when I travel anyway, I tend not to sleep because of the excitement of traveling around. And then to add to that, having too much sugar in my system, was like I was sleeping like 2 hours a night.
You're like, this is so exciting, but also I'm hyped up on caffeine.
Exactly. Yeah, I live in a very small town, so there are quite a lot of small town restaurants, and I love those. One question I want to ask you, because obviously living in America, do you get a lot of chain, Thais or Chinese restaurants or Mexican and stuff, or is it quite authentic? Do you find because when I went to New York, talking about 6, 7, 8 years ago, there was a lot of restaurants and there was a lot of small time. I used to just go to the small time ones because I preferred the food, and I knew it's going to be. I mean, it might not look quite bad from the outside, it might not look clean, but I think that those are the places where you get better food.
It's true.
It's true, isn't it? That's what I think.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's dirty. That means that's good.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's totally true. And I think, it really just depends where you are. I grew up in Montana, really out in the middle of nowhere. And it was great, but they didn't necessarily have the most authentic food when it came to Chinese food or Thai food, and still don't really, it's gotten better. We have more people moving out there now, but so it was such a shock for me too to come to New York and actually taste what more authentic Chinese food is like, and then it was even crazier to go to China and taste what actual authentic Chinese
yeah. Oh yeah.
So I think it's definitely, Daniel always likes to say, like, you don't get the most authentic version, but you get the second best version of
yes.
So, you don't have authentic, of that place, but you get so many different varieties that it kind of balances.
The food in India. When I went to the restaurant, I knew this was going to be the case anyway. So the type of food that you got in the restaurant was, meat on the bones, which is actually what you get in most Indian families or Asian families. Yeah. And it was authentic in that sense. So the food that we get here in the UK, and I tried the Indian food in America as well. I think it was in New York. Well, it might have been in Washington, actually, I tried it. And it's heavily westernized, and it's just so much cream, and there's so much this and that. And that's not really what... But I guess wherever you are, they're going to try and make the palate, which is right, I guess, it's going to settle. That's what I think. But I guess you miss out on the authenticity, don't you? That's the only thing.
I think so. I think that is the one thing about trying foods at home. And even if you're cooking it yourself, you can make it a little bit more authentic, but getting the ingredients is a little bit harder. That's one thing I've especially noticed right now, is getting those ingredients that would make a dish more authentic than it was before. So yeah, that I've really struggled with that. But I've had to order, when I made pad thai, I had to order tamarind concentrate. I couldn't go to the store and get it.
Right, I see.
Available, when you're in Thailand, and you can get fresh tamarind and then make the concentrate from that. So you can get close, you can get almost there, but it's not the same as actually being in that place and tasting it and just having those flavors and those ingredients right there for sure.
Absolutely. Where are we at the minute with the cooking?
Almost done.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Yep, we're almost done. I think probably about 5 more minutes.
5 minutes. So the reason why I also mentioned India is because Indian food was something I grew up eating, and then obviously when I go to restaurants, and for me it's good, but it's still not the same as. And I think I don't know why there wasn't a case of maybe getting people to try it out first. So what if it's going to be too authentic? Why not give it a go? That's how people get used to things, don't they? It's not a case of, and the same thing with Chinese food. Again, Chinese food in this country, again, it's just like, it's not Chinese food. I've been to China. That is not Chinese food. So, and you have to go to China to actually try the actual food. Why not, get people to try it first and see if they like it or not?
I think, to some extent, it is kind of just like, okay, this is what will sell. Maybe down the line, I'm kind of hoping, because especially in the United States, like ethnic food has only been around for, I would say, like 15 years, 20 years.
Oh, okay.
It really hasn't been around that long. You could get Chinese food in very specific Chinese neighborhoods, but it was something that was sold to the random person on the street. That's only been a recent thing.
The TV show Friends, in the earlier seasons, they always just say, "Oh, we can try Chinese food and stuff." So I always thought that Chinese food was quite big in.
Yeah, for like the very bland, kind of like super, super like Americanized Chinese.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting because there have been more recognized chefs from various places around the world, which has been amazing. And they've been adding more of their own specific flavors and been shipping things in that they weren't before. And it's not so much about appealing the masses, but like you said, kind of introducing these new ideas.
Yeah.
Or they do a twist on like the traditional dishes and add something new, and like Americanize it a little bit, but still kind of try to maintain that idea in the dish. And I think it's really cool. It's a great idea, and it does kind of get people more interested in the cuisine in general and just kind of what's available. So,
as you said, there's a couple more minutes before dinner is ready, and as I said to you, we've got Daniel in the studio today as an audience. He's going to come along and try the food and be honest with everything as well.
To be fair, he's always honest when it comes to my food. He's a good sport.
Is he? Can he cook himself? Actually,
yeah. Like he, about once a year, he'll cook for me.
Oh, okay.
He'll say, "Okay, I'm making something," and oh, thank you. And it's always good. He usually makes like chicken cutlet from something he learned while he was living by himself. But I kind of want him to stay out of the kitchen. It's kind of which is weird because I don't really feel that way in general. If he wanted to cook more, he could. But I don't know. I love cooking in general. It's kind of my thing. But we've cooked a few times together too. And my mom, you might be wondering what this apron says.
Yeah, I was what does it say? That.
But she got Daniel a matching one to try and get him to cook more.
Okay.
And it says, so it's supposed to say, "Together we are complete."
Oh, right, okay.
But I don't think he's worn it once.
Oh, right. You never know. Maybe for Christmas he could cook.
Yeah, he did actually cook Thanksgiving dinner here when I was back home visiting my family in Montana. So I know he can cook. Just like I like doing it, so I think I just I'm like, I got this. But
is it ready? Would you say?
We're ready. I'm gonna go get Daniel, and then I'll go scoop it in a bowl, and we'll give it a try.
Hi, Daniel. How's it going?
Good.
Right. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too.
So you are going to be testing out the food?
Yes, yeah. I mean, this is definitely like one of Alice's staple dishes. So
okay. Right, go ahead, give it a go, Daniel. See what it's like.
Well, it's a little hot, but that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
Really good. Oh, really good.
Brilliant. Right, I'm going to let you go. Finish off your dinner. Alex, good to see you guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll speak soon.
Well,
Take care.
Jabs.
No worries. Take care.
I hope everyone enjoyed the cooking and our discussion on food. The ingredients and recipes can be found in the descriptions. If you'd like to follow Alex on her travel blogging journey, her social media details are on your screen now.
That's it for Take a Wonder with Shebs. Hope to see you all very soon. Until next time, bye for now.